What's up everybody, Dubious here. Just gonna show you guys how I use my Novation Circuit as a MIDI device for my DAW, which is reason in my case, because I mean I love it standalone. I think a lot of people use it standalone, but it really shines as a MIDI device connected to your DAW. So here's some tips and tricks for it, and I hope it helps you guys out. Now, first things first, I want to say sorry if the video gets a little wobbly once in a while. I've got my phone balancing on my knee right now, but I'm gonna see if I can fix that in future videos. For now, I'll have to keep my knee very still, and that'll do. All right, let's get into it. Start your DAW first. I got Reason running right now. Hook up your circuit with the provided USB cable or a USB cable that fits and does the job. Hook it up to the mains if you don't want to run your batteries dry, and turn on your circuit. Remember to turn down your master volume, because else you'll be hearing your synth sounds through the back speaker, which you might not want, right? All right, once you've got it hooked up, your software might automatically recognize the circuit as a device. If it does not, you have to go into your preferences, whatever hardware devices tab you got, and see if you can get it connected. If it doesn't find it automatically, or if there's no tab for the Novation Circuit specifically, I believe an option for keyboard with rotary devices, you know, as long as it has something like that, it should work for you. So once you get it connected and your software recognizes it, you should be able to play like any instrument you got selected in your DAW. So I got a piano selected right now. And you can start playing, right? But what I start with usually is going into my scales mode, select the scale that I like, with the note that I like. I'll just keep it at a C minor for now, and then I hold shift and I hit the note button. So then you go into your expanded view, and you'll have 2 more octaves actually to play. So you missed your step sequencer now. Excuse me. You missed your step sequencer now, but you got 2 more octaves to play with. So it's just more freedom, right? So that's one way you can use the circuit. Now another way you can use it is as a chord device. So let me grab a different instrument for this. Let me grab some violin. And you go back into your regular mode. So that's just got your 2 rows of keys and 2 rows of steps, and you find a chord you like. So let's keep it simple, and then you hit the step you want to put the chord on, and there you go, you got a little chord block. So let me just fill out this example a little more. You can do this for, well, 16 steps, right? I mean, you can do this for 16 steps times 8 patterns, even if you want. If you want to have so many different chords you want to be able to play, you could do that. One thing I gotta note, once you press play in your DAW, let me mute the drums real quick. If you press play in your DAW, you'll see it starts playing, and it starts actually, you can hear the chords you played, and you probably don't want that. But what you can do, you hold the mixer button, and you just mute the synth that you got the chord set up. And now if you play, so let me turn the metronome on. See, it doesn't play them, but you can still play them standalone. You can still play them yourself, like manually. This actually also works on the circuit's regular as a standalone. See, and it does keep playing the bar. So that's a pretty fun trick, I think, myself. All right, so another thing and it's a bit of a new feature for the circuit. Well, it's old by now, but you got micro steps in your in the step sequencer nowadays. So let me grab a guitar real quick. All right, so this is a guitar, right? Or it's a sitar. I don't know. So now it's being played at once. So what you want to do to use the micro steps function, you go into gate mode. So you just tap it, it goes into gate mode. You select the step you want to change the micro steps for. So step 1, and you hold shift. So now you'll see 6 micro steps that can be used. All the steps, or all the keys I should say, that are being used on this step to make the chord. Right? So what you want to do, select the step, select the key, select the micro step, select the key, select the micro step, select the key, select the micro step. So now what you got, instead of one like chunk of a chord, you get a little strumming. You get a little strum going. So I'll show you one more time. Select the chord, select the key, and then you just do that for all your chords. Then you got a strummer. I don't know, I just like it. I like how Novation has set up your steps to send MIDI through. It's just a smart thing. I don't know if they like thought this up, like, oh, you could use it like that, but I think it's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant move. So big up to Novation for that. Yeah, for real. So the next thing is you can use it as a little finger drummer if you want. I'm kind of more of a fan of like a machine-sized device for that, but you know, this works though. This works if you want. One thing you gotta note though is that your scales will be, if you play this scale on your drum device, on your drum synth, or your, well, I'm using the Red Drum from Reason. It's just a drum sampler, right? You won't be able to play all the notes, so you want to either have a major scale going, depending on the VST, you use a major scale going or just a chromatic scale. So the bottom right is your chromatic scale. I believe the Red Drum uses a chromatic scale, so I just test it out real quick. There we go. I got them muted, so I muted them real quick. And then you got a little finger drumming action. You can turn the velocity on, by the way. This is an important thing to note, I think, because velocity can bring a lot of emotion to your playing. But I've got it turned off for the video. Weird thing is the button is actually like flipped around. If I turn it off, there's no velocity, and if I turn it, or the other way around, it's like flip. But that's for another that's another issue. It's an issue, I guess, but it's not really an issue. Yeah. So let's get into the next thing. You got these 8 rotaries, right? You actually got 16 rotaries. You can connect the things. 17 if you count the filter. Yeah, because synth 1, let's call it MIDI channel 1 to 8, and synth 2 is MIDI channel 9 to 16, and then your filter is channel 17. So that's a thing to note. And you can hook them up to your devices, and they'll, as far as I know, your software will always like remember what channel it's hooked up to, so it should always be the same one if you go back to that project. All right, so a few ideas I use the rotaries for. I'll show you a few things. So I use my filter knob as a pitch shifter usually, because the filter knob is the only one that has a middle point that you can feel. So then you know that, you know when you're back at 0, right? And I like to put this on acoustic instruments, synthesizers as well sometimes, just to you know, just to like bend in the notes. This might not be the best example with a piano, but a guitar, like whatever, it really could really make an instrument pop. A few other examples you can use this for is in synthesis. Oh, let me play it. Right. This is how I set it up. This is how I set up my synthesizers and the standalone circuit synthesis engine as well. So attack, release, you know, get your ADSR on there somewhere, or parts of your ADSR, filter frequency and the resonance for that filter. An LFO hooked up to something, so my LFO is now hooked up to my filter. On a 6 and a 5 would be like the speed, you know. And then some distortion in the end, or some FM, you know. Whatever you want to do with it, man. So yeah, you can do these rotaries, hook them up to some things you use a lot, and you can get some great results, I think. One other thing I like to use in the circuit is the step sequencer, actually, in reason for like arpeggios and arpeggio-like sounds, you know, just to get stuff going really on the dot, on the grid. So, but one thing I gotta note is that you might wanna sync your MIDI clock from your software to the circuit, because then you're sure the tempo will be synced properly, and it'll actually show you like sync. So in reason, that will be let me just show you. It'll be preferences, and then in the sync tab, right, and then you go into your output, like in output here, it's got to be circuit, and then if everything's working right, you should see syn instead of the tempo here, and you know it's synced. So once you got it synced, let me get a little synthesizer running, right, and then you just put your steps in as usual. And then if you play it, you know, add a little delay, whatever, you know. So I don't know, I think it's a nice way to get a little arpeggio action in your workflow. Yeah. I think the thing to remember is that if you use scales mode like this, you're gonna miss like certain notes in your playing, and you might want to fill that up in your track later if you're editing it in your DAW, right? Just remember, like, you're not using all the keys if you're doing this, obviously, I guess, but yeah. And a final tip that I do myself, because if I don't, I tend to forget. In the save file, like in your project file, you can call your instrument something, right? So I call my drum synthesizer, I actually call it like scale 1 C or a scale 4 D, you know, so I remember which scale I use on my Novation for that project, because else, you know, I've got so much stuff running I might forget. And I think that was everything I use it for, pretty much, on my DAW, right? So I hope you learned something from it. I hope it wasn't too wobbly. Maybe I can get some image stabilization going on or something. But yeah, if you like the video, please thumbs up and subscribe, man. I got more stuff coming for sure. If you got any questions about this, please ask. And I think I'm gonna do some reason tutorials as well if this goes somewhere. Yeah. Have a good one. See ya.